Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John with Flippin' Ain't Easy. I'm out here working in my garage and thought, let's make a video while I work. So this is one of those while I work videos. I have really no idea what I'm going to talk about, but I will nonetheless talk to you guys anyway. Hopefully you guys are doing well so far in Q4. I cannot complain considering the fact that we've been sort of distracted with all this stuff back here, the project that we've dealt with. Sales are kind of all over the map. We had a $830 day on Monday, and then Tuesday followed it up. I mean, $240. Not very good. I find that this is going to seem kind of weird based on, for most of you guys know my story, the backstory about this whole thing. I find that because of all the time that I've invested in this project, I've spent less time sourcing. I've spent less time with the business like I normally spend. Don't get me wrong, I do listings and I do all the stuff, but not nearly to the level of what I was doing before the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm running out of good stuff to sell. So I found that this week, today, I've been kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. Now you might say, well, that doesn't make sense. You just cleared out your storage unit. But the stuff in my storage unit, guys, wasn't very good. I'm finding this stuff out. Now, not to say that I won't make money off of it, but I'm just not all that encouraged by the stuff that I brought home. I have a sort of a rack here that I use for stuff that's in queue to get listed. I have it set up like that by design. I have rack 24 up here, the bottom rack 25. That's for listed stuff. But this middle rack is going to be used, and mainly the stuff that I have on here is for the second store. I literally have at least 300 to 500 items in this garage right now ready to list on the second store. I may have only a few items that's buried under all this stuff that's legitimately worthy of meeting my requirements to be listed in the main store. And that presents a problem for me. Now I have the stuff in the storage unit and there's some stuff in there, right? That's the next stop, but I'll get a little replenishment from my normal sourcing tomorrow when, by the time you're watching this, when Jenna goes and does the run for me to about 4 or 5 different places. They'll bring the stuff out to the car and load it in the car and everything for her. But that'll only last me till about Friday or Saturday, and I'll be back to square one because I haven't been sourcing as much the last few weeks because of this whole project. Just haven't had the time. I find myself in the middle of doing some stuff for the move, and I look at my clock and go, oh crap, I missed like half of my sourcing for the evening. And I'll tell myself, well, I'll just do it tomorrow. And tomorrow comes, I'll do it, but then maybe the next day I'll miss some of that. So the goal here is to get back on track. Like the last 2 days, been really busting butt to get back on track. I feel like I'm back on track. I have more space to work with, more empty racks. That's very encouraging. I've got a lot of stuff to list for the second store, and I am very encouraged that really I can grow both stores. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited by that, and you guys are going to be the first ones to know how it goes. So I don't know if the problems that I'm dealing with are just temporary. I think a lot of times if you don't show the kind of time that eBay wants you to show, whether it's listing new items or maintaining your store, you tend to get punished a little bit. But I mean, there's no reason why I should have had a $800 day the other day. And I'm not going to get bogged down on day to day, right? I think that's a big mistake. Don't get bogged down on, oh, I had a bad day. Like today, I had a bad day. Because tomorrow you might just get sale after sale after sale. I kind of look at it like this. I am playing 2 games. Okay. Playing a couple games. First game is my goal is to make X amount of money. Okay, that's the most important game. But I'm going to play a game within the eBay game, and that is how many items can I get listed, or how much value can I get listed, which translates into the number of items. I think we get caught up in how many items, but I think it's a fine number to try to set a goal to. I'm like, for instance, 300 doesn't seem like a lot to even me, and I know it may not seem like a lot to you guys, but I have been fighting this battle with eBay. It's a game within the game, and now I don't seriously think that eBay is trying to hold me back. It's just a kind of a game that I play. So I say constantly, eBay is beating me this week, meaning that they're not allowing me to get my stuff listed, or I'm getting it listed, but I'm getting more sales. And you guys see that my sales, I had like 620 sales in the last 90 days as compared to what's in my store. It's 260 right now. So I may be listing at a good enough clip to maintain, right? Because I've been maintaining mid 200s for the last 2-3 years. But as far as growing, I need to invest more time, get more items listed than I have ever before. But when I start doing that, like when I was getting it up over 300 items, I'd get more sales. And it's just this game of tug of war. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining at all. I'm just talking to you about this game that I play. It's just a head game that I play to keep myself motivated, I guess. And sometimes you got to create little games like that to keep yourself motivated, whatever it is. And for me, it's just, how do I grow my business? Because I know if I grow the business with the same quality of goods, then I may not sell, in scale with, if I have 10 sales with 260 items, that means I'll get 15 sales with 400. But it seems to behave that way. When I get close to 300, I've been over 300 a couple times, and my sales just get knocked back down. eBay's right there laughing at me. So here we are. I'm out here listing a return. I should have just posted the damn same item, just relisted it, but it isn't as neat or folded up as it was, and I don't want anyone to get kind of irritated at me because it's not in the same condition that they thought it was going to be in. So here I am. Move this down here so you can see me, but I don't have my gimbal on. This is just my iPad I'm recording in. And I doubt I'm going to be very productive, to be honest with you, while I'm talking to you guys, and rarely am I. Don't get me wrong, I can multitask, but I just don't want to list. It's like I come out here with the intention on listing when I'm talking to you guys. I really just don't want to mess with it while I'm talking to you guys, because I feel like I may just start rambling, and you might ask, well, you already do ramble, but I'm saying without any point, without getting to the point. I'm just rambling unnecessarily for the sake of talking. And I know some of you guys like the what is it, the ASMR, whatever the hell that means. Someone put it down below, because look, I don't care. But you're not going to hear a lot of, if I just get to work, right? I guess we could do that, but I feel like there's no value in that. Maybe it's just me. I don't know if I would tune into a channel where all the dude was doing was working and might acknowledge the camera every 5 minutes. That's what you guys want. I guess I can do that, but that's not who I am. I will tell you a story. I'll get back to this view here. That might be better. I will tell you a story about something I'm currently dealing with. And it seems like I get one of these buyers year, once every year for these kind of buyers. And that is the buyer who disregards your return policy. It's clear as day, right there on the first page. This seller offers 30-day returns, free 30-day returns for a lot of the items in the main store. But yet I get return requests that are well beyond that 30 days. And I don't care why, whether it's defective or I don't want it anymore. This one, he claims it was defective. But my argument was, what the hell are you buying? And this was a faucet. So, why are you buying a faucet so far ahead of the date that you plan on installing it? Now, there's apparently said there's like a leak in it. I don't really care. After 30 days, I don't care anymore. It's the way I look at it is, it's not my money until the money is clear of the 30-day return window. And even though I've got it in my account already, probably spent it. If someone comes hitting me up 2 months later, I really don't care what the problem is. You had your due diligence. The argument was, well, why are you selling stuff that's not functional? Well, just for the same reason. I can't install a sink every time, or a faucet every time I sell one. Just like if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's and you buy a faucet, I mean, chances are there could be something defective with it, and they're going to give you X amount of time to bring it back. And that's the kind of the way I work. Nobody reached out to me until recently and said, hey, what can we do? And then he started getting nasty. He just started getting nasty. He wants to point out like feedback that I've had in the past, and like, okay, what does that have to do with you? And really, I am done, guys. I am done worrying about negative feedback. I don't care anymore about negative feedback. I am going to treat my buyers as good as I possibly can. And part of that is being very quick to get back to their requests or their questions. That even if that means drop what I'm doing to give them an answer, that's the way I approach these buyers. But when you encounter a buyer who won't accept any kind of responsibility, that to me is just, I don't have time for it. I really don't have time for it. I will give you the most professional customer service that I can, but and what I did with this guy is he asked me about that, and I gave him a very, very professional answer, right? And he came back and he just wants to argue. And then I told him, look, we both, seller and buyer, have a responsibility here. Now, you're right. I do have a responsibility to sell you an item that is fully functional. Okay. But you as a buyer have the responsibility to tell me within a 30-day, a very, very generous 30-day window, that there's an issue with something. And you can't blame me for not testing something, because there's no way to test a faucet unless you're just ripping out your bathroom faucet and trying this out. Nobody's on eBay's doing that. You can't blame me for that, but say, well, I couldn't test it until I decided to break it out of the box and install it in my sink in my bathroom. Because there is no other way to test these things. So you actually have to hook them up. But to say that I'm at fault because I didn't test it, now who would? But then he's not at fault because he couldn't do it until he installed it, is just talking out of both sides of your mouth for your own benefit. Now, I understand the argument. I'm not saying that he's wrong, but what I'm saying is that if you disregard someone's 30-day return policy, and maybe you're just knowingly disregarding it, or maybe you're not doing your part as a buyer and reading all the terms and conditions of the sale that you're about to make, because some sellers have 60-day returns, some only have 14. That's on you as a buyer if you then decide to wait 2 months to utilize or use whatever the hell you just bought. So it's a shared responsibility. I'll give you that. But the responsibility doesn't fall entirely on my shoulders when the buyer doesn't even bother to open it up for 2 months after the sale. So here I am. I'm expecting a negative feedback. And to be honest with you, aside from the basic steps, based on what he says, I'll either reply or I'll try to get it removed. And that's really all the energy I'm going to spend on it. With the new policy where eBay automatically gives you feedback points for feedback that was never left for you, it helps your ratio. I have my share of negatives. I'm at 99.1. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I know how I treat my customers. I get a lot of people leaving positive feedback of how well I treated them. And if you're going to come on and after like the third, he was irritated at me, of course. And he said a few choice words. And I had to tell him, I said, look, you can't talk to people like that on here. That's against eBay's terms of service. So you go ahead and report me if you want, and I'll do the same. Because he said something about how he was going to report me. Report me. So as of this video, I have not received the negative that I'm expecting. That's not to say it's not coming. I firmly am expecting it, and I am 100% okay with it. Now, if that makes me a bad seller, then I guess it makes me a bad seller. I wouldn't even dare, as a buyer, to buy something without knowing the rules of the transaction. I wouldn't buy something ignorant to the seller's return policy and then act all surprised when it doesn't work out in my favor. I wouldn't dare do that. Now, I know there's going to be people out there saying, well, it's the cost of doing business. And I've said that phrase myself. And that's what this buyer was saying. You can just write it off. If I'm entirely at fault, you better believe that I'm going to be the first one to fix it. And I told him, I said, you wouldn't have heard me say anything if you would have submitted this return request within the 30-day window. But to put it all on me, that's not fair either. And very well it could be that this guy didn't install it properly to begin with. I don't know what he did. We put in our listings, a lot of our listings we put, have a professional install, but they never do. So, you got Billy Bob home builder trying to be a DIY guy, and he totally jacks it up, and so somehow it's my fault if he waits 60 days. I don't know. How would you handle that? I'm sure there's other people that would handle it differently, thinking, look, it's just one transaction, just give him his money back and move on. But I look at it as eBay is very cut and dry with sellers, and buyers get the better end of the deal. And of course, maybe they should. But I am not giving money away because where do you draw the line? If 30 days isn't enough, maybe this is the question for you guys. If 30 days isn't enough to make an exception to a return, like, okay, 30 days, when's the line? I can understand if the guy's like, hey, look, man, I missed your deadline by a day, okay, or 2 days or 3 days. But 2 months? No. And I've had this conversation with you guys before. It was a Christmas blow-up decoration that had a snowman dressed as Santa and a digital countdown clock to Christmas. And we tested it out. It worked fine. The digital display seemed to work. And the guy who bought it was in Australia, and we sold it in the middle of summertime. So here rolls around the end of November. I get this nastygram saying, hey, you sold me this item and I can't return it now. And this is back in the days of GSPs. This is at least 2.5, 3 years ago. And he wanted me to allow him to send it back from Australia. And I'm like, well, what? No. And he's like, because I guess the 3 didn't show properly, like 30 days till Christmas. The middle part of it showed like a C instead of a 3. And he's like, this isn't acceptable. And I'm like, okay, you're getting something that's open boxed. Hell, even if it's new, I would still be testing it out, knowing that there's a 30-day return period. I don't care if it's the middle of summer. Why aren't you testing this thing out? And I got a lot of people that were like, why didn't you take the return? I can't believe that you wouldn't take a return. 5 months later. Sorry, I don't roll that way. Now, if you want to roll that way, this is the beautiful thing about eBay. I mean, eBay, they do dictate most of the things that we're allowed to do, right? But if I have control over my business, and this is one area where eBay gives us control over our business, if a buyer hits you up 60 days on your 30-day return, they'll let the buyer click on the return button. It'll be there for them. And then you'll have the option to accept it or deny it, right? He's not done that yet. But what eBay will do is they will guilt trip you into accepting the return. Oh, you can deny the return, but we think it'll lead to a better buying experience if you accept the return and let them return it. It's like, do you support my return policy that you've mandated on me, or do you not? That's my question for eBay. And look, it's no skin off their butt. Well, they'll lose depending on what you're promoting, or if you're promoting at all, anywhere from 13 on up to 20 something %, and hopefully not any more than that for you guys out there. It's no more skin than that off of their butt. They can care less. They don't care. I feel it's sort of disrespectful for eBay to do all the things that they do, but the one time they give us control over one aspect of our business, and that is just simply following our own return policy, they want to guilt trip us because we weren't giving them a good buyer experience. So it's almost like these buyers, they don't have to have any responsibility for anything. They buy something, it's the wrong size. That's your fault. They buy something, they don't like it. That's your fault. Now, of course, if something like this with the faucet doesn't work properly, or the Christmas decoration, I accept some responsibility, but that doesn't give the buyer an open-ended free-for-all, and whenever the hell they want to send it back, they can open a return, or they will, that I'm required to take a return beyond that return period. And maybe you guys think I'm in the wrong, and this is where we may agree to disagree, but I'm running a business here. I'm not running an operation that is a charity, or I'm not here to I just want to be consistent with my decisions. So if I was to go in, let's say Walmart, right? Because I think most of us are familiar with that. If I was to buy something at Walmart and I just didn't get around to messing with it for 2 months, and they have like a 45-day return. Is it 45 days or 60? I don't know what it is anymore. I know this time of year it's like until January, but let's just say any other time of the year other than the holidays. I don't get around to messing with it, and then I find out sometimes these new items come back faulty. Sometimes these new items, they don't work properly. And I'm holding a brick, and I take it back after the return window. I don't think they're going to give me my money back. I don't think that they are. And I think I've seen a couple pissed off people over my years that were arguing with someone at the counter because of that kind of situation. I don't think they're going to do that. Maybe I'm wrong there too. But unless someone can give me a compelling argument other than, it's a cost of doing business, blah, 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 I'm not ready to change my mind on that. Unless someone can give me a real compelling reason to change my mind. So I don't know. Maybe that makes me a bad person. Maybe that makes me a bad seller. But I know we need the buyers. I'm the first person that'll come on here and say, and you guys have seen these videos, I'm the first person that'll come on here and say, guys, we need to do better for our buyers to keep people on the platform. You guys have heard me say that. But not to the point of coddling these people. Okay? Not going to. I'm not going to do it. Now, I think I probably fall right in the middle of the pendulum when it comes to this argument. There are going to be some that are saying, dude, you just need to do it. You're a business. Suck it up. Give them a label. And there's going to be people that have a no returns policy that are like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't even take returns. And if I had this conversation, I'd tell them to get the hell out of here even after a week. So I guess I'm kind of in the middle of this. At least I'd like to think that. So it's not going to bother me if you guys don't agree, because you guys don't agree with me half the time anyway. I'm just giving you the perspective of how I approach my business. I'd like to think that I built a pretty good eBay business, one that has been sustainable, one that has been profitable, one that has given me motivation to do more. And the whole point of this channel is to share my thoughts, my experiences, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, with you guys. And let the chips fall where they may. Comment down below how right or wrong I am, and that's fine. At the end of the day, I sleep well at night. I get commended by the buyers. The majority of the buyers do appreciate the way I handle them. If you look at my comments or my feedback, you'll see that I get a lot of people that will say, like, was very quick to get back to me, was willing to work with me. And look, I'm willing to work with people too. Look, I could be so strict with the way I handle returns that someone contacts me and says, look, you sold me this thing. This part here doesn't function. And here's a photo. I'm a big stickler for photos. Here's a photo of why or how it's not, or what it's doing, right? So they prove it, right? It's not just them making some wild story up. And the natural thought process is, oh, I'm sorry. Open a return and we'll get a return label to you, right? But sometimes, and depending on what that buyer's initial comment is and what kind of proof that they show me, I might say, well, of course I'm saying I'm sorry that this happened. I'm sorry that, this is not working properly for you. If you are still able to use it, I can give you a portion of your money back. And it just depends on the situation, where I'll kind of come up with a number in my mind. I'll say we can either, people, and this is something that people like. Customers really like this. I learned this at Amtrak. If you tell them, sorry, just return it, you're out of luck. Well, it's an option. It's a valid option. Some people aren't going to be satisfied with being told what to do and how to do it. But if you come back with the same apology and say, look, I can do one of two things for you. I know you spent $80 for this. If you can still use it, I'll give you like 25 back. But if it just doesn't work for you, doing whatever it does, and you just can't make it work, then I can send you a return label if you open a return. And now you've given the buyer a chance to decide, make a decision, and they are now not being told what to do. They're being involved in the decision. And people, that stands a lot better. Even if both solutions aren't quite ideal, it's like, well, I really wanted most of my money back and keep the item, which a lot of buyers would want. But at least they're offering me something, and I can make this thing work versus send it back and have to start this process again to find whatever the hell it is that I need. And I think that's an effective tactic. But beyond that, and see, in that scenario, the buyer is reporting a problem. They did nothing wrong except receive the item, and they are reporting a problem within the return window. But short of that, I'm not here to coddle a buyer. I'm going to do what works best for my business. I'm going to assess each situation at face value, and I'm going to make the best decision that I can for my business and for the customer in that order. And that's just the way it is with me. It's, does this benefit my business? And does this satisfy the buyer? And if I get past the first checkbox, does this benefit my business? Meaning that, is it something I can probably, work with? It's not going to break the bank. And it's fair. And I think working within a 30-day return policy is fair. Then I'll be willing to offer a partial refund. I don't deal with partial refunds when the buyer's fishing for them, because there's many buyers out there who use that tactic. We've talked about this for many years, where they'll hit you up for a partial refund knowing that you don't want to pay for that return label. So they hit you up to say, well, if you just send half my money back, I'll just go away. And that's, to me, that doesn't work for my business. Being dictated on how I'm going to process this transaction, when there's a perfectly viable way to solve this. Just return the thing back for a full refund if there's a problem. So I don't know, just sharing some thoughts openly with you guys. Again, you are probably going to have a different answer and a different mindset and a different solution to both of my examples. And you are not wrong for feeling that way. I think each and every one of us has to figure out how we're going to have a game plan in our mind. How are we going to handle such a scenario when it comes up, and have a justification in your mind as to why you're going to handle it that way. For the guy with the faucet, it's simply, we have to know what's going on with our transaction, and somehow the buyers don't. The buyers don't have to know what the agreement is that they're getting in with the seller. So, they can just try to open a return at any time. And I don't care the reason. You can argue that, well, it is a defective item, and we're not talking a remorse return or anything like that. But again, you're actively choosing to buy this item well before you plan on using it. Well, and you know that there is a return policy. That doesn't sit well with me. So again, long diatribe of a video. Hopefully this sparks some kind of discussion. But I want to know what you guys think down below. Of course, you're going to let me know that I'm wrong when I'm wrong. But if you guys agree with me on some level, please take a moment to tell me that as well. I don't have all the answers. I just tell you what I do. And I'm still in business with eBay, still making it work, still have satisfied buyers, and I'm still here to report it with you guys. So hit the like button if you enjoyed the content that we put out there. Consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, if you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be notified the next time I drop a video. But figuring out where you stand on buyers who just disregard the amount of time that they are allowed with the return is yet another example of how sometimes flipping ain't easy. I want you guys to have an excellent rest of your day, and we will talk to you very soon. Take care.
Returns and lowball offers too. Zero takedowns, they're a pain. What the podcast. Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast. Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, the flipping's more than a game.